Welcome, welcome. This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Andrew,
And I'm Will.
and we have,
El Bellio. Hello.
again, now we're welcoming our guest again.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so much fun last week hating on that show.
Exactly. So everyone who doesn't know already, this is for the Rings of Power and House of the Dragon review. And as always, we're going to start off with the chronological order of release.
Exactly.
So Rings of Power is what our first topic
10 out of
is.
10 episode. It was great. It totally made sense. It resurrected all of the weird plot lines that they had and actually brought them together. It all makes sense now. It's wonderful.
Okay,
no,
Will,
I think they're
I
all
know
in
you
hell
did too many
now, and I
drugs.
think we as the viewers have joined them in hell. And that's basically my review of this episode.
Okay, the thing that annoys me the most every week, and I'm finally going to mention it, it's the fact that they taunt us after every episode, after every trailer. What does it recommend that you watch next? The original trilogy, as if to laugh at you about it. It immediately links you to the original trilogy, and it's just like, see what we've done to the things you actually liked.
Well, they told a better story than Tolkien ever could.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
This episode, like after everything went to absolute hell, all I could think about was I was genuinely praying something absurd was going to happen and I was just going to wake up from a fever dream. Like
Right.
everything's in hell, the horse is on fire, and then out of nowhere Adar's about to kill Galadriel, but then Doom Guy just rips into the scene. It's just, anything to make this better.
Honestly, yeah, anything could have made that better. Like, that horse scene is bullshit.
It looks so
they tried
dumb.
to make it dramatic, and it's just like, I'm not feeling it, you guys.
The thing is, it's not dramatic. You had a freaking volcano erupt right next to you. Nobody dies.
Who cares about the
then
fucking
you're like,
horse?
There's a horse on fire. It's like, no shit. Everyone should be on fire. Like, what the hell are we watching right now?
Right.
Yeah, no one should be alive.
No.
Like how they show, like, because Galadriel stands up and her hair is
Perfect.
a little frizzy,
It's
but
perfect.
then there's like
at least
one dead
burn
body,
her
two
hair
dead
off.
body, three dead body.
Do something.
Also, I love how she just ignores that one dude who's on fire, like asking for help right next to her.
Oh, yeah. And then the one kid who's like, mother, and instantly shows up, just like, oh, come here, like, I'm your mother. And then conscripts him to not go look for his mother. Yeah. Conscripts him, though, to not look for his mother, but to go, like, scout out orcs, like, who they won't attack, by the way. Let's just go looking.
Yeah, she doesn't attack the orcs after showing that she can withstand a volcano and take down a snow troll by herself. There is no danger in that scene, that copy scene of the Nazgul and the Fellowship of the Ring.
She could have killed all of them. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, I am absolutely perplexed by this episode because, like, they actually genuinely try to have some form of character growth where she's like, no, it's over. We have to retreat.
But they waited until episode 7.
You destroyed a snow troll without effort. You swing a sword upside down and explode an orc. Why are 4 or 5 dudes a problem all of a sudden?
And it's also episode 7. It's a bit late to start doing character development for the main fucking character.
Yep.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, there's the character growth you mentioned. They're saying like it's my fault that this happened. Nothing really happened. No one died. Yeah. If she wasn't there, the exact same thing would have happened.
Yeah.
And so what exactly has transpired other than they actually accomplished some things? They killed some orcs before it happened.
Well, wait though, but they also killed off her husband.
Oh my gosh, I don't even want to mention that.
And they made her the shittiest wife ever. She's like, "Oh, I made a joke about how he looks stupid in his armor, and then I never saw him again."
Then he's dead. They clearly forgot that she was married at this point, and then realized in episode 7, like, "Oh shit, we should probably mention this, so it's okay that she's banging Halbrand."
I mean, he's supposed to be around this entire time, but
you know, I actually happened to stumble across some information. So supposedly that whole scene with Theo under and her underneath,
it's
apparently again, I haven't researched far enough to confirm, but apparently it's actually a reshoot because they did like some private test screenings and people fucking hated it. So they had to reshoot again. I can't confirm this.
Wait, that's
you know,
the reshoot?
yeah.
Holy
Apparently that's what happened. Apparently people were like, "Wait, where's Caleb?" It's like, tell me where's Celeborn? I much wish to see him. You know, and yeah, they were like, "Crap, we need to put this in." So
Oh
I
my
don't know.
god.
Well, that makes total sense. That's exactly how it feels.
Yeah, it feels like an offhanded comment of just.
Also, something that I forgot. So the king,
Sauron,
Gil-galad, sorry.
Gil-galad, the double
I think
chin.
that's like her great nephew or something.
Yes.
He looks so much freaking older. I was thinking about this. I was like, wait a minute. That dude is so much younger than she is.
Well, I mean, you know, I was telling Andrew this before we went live. I've more or less made peace with the idea that it's not accurate to the story, and to just to try and grade it on its own merits. And even if you ignore that stuff, it's like the number of problems there are is insane.
Yep. Well, they still have to have the characters for one. Like, it doesn't have to align at this rate. Yeah, we'll take what we get. It doesn't have to align with the lore, I guess, but you still need the characters. They exist. Like, you still need to. You can tell another story, but let's not pretend like they don't exist. Because if you want it to actually fit with the universe, right? Like, okay, let's just say Galadriel had her mid-elf life crisis of wanting to be a badass warrior. Okay, believable. Don't pretend like her husband does not exist, though. That's problematic. And probably, like, okay, if I'm being honest, it's probably a massive driver of why she's such a one-dimensional shit character is the fact that they do nothing that tempers her. And he seems like the character who would temper her more.
Because everything that she is doing is because of Finrod, literally no one else. So for her to just kind of like toss out, "Oh, I had a husband," it's like, wait,
who also died?
What do you mean?
Who also died from the orcs and is not a motivator for her at all to be pissed with orcs. Can we just point out the fact that she basically loved her brother more than her husband?
I want to go back to get an answer as to why it is the Mordor symbol is on Finrod. It's like, wait, they were telling her to go to Mordor the whole time?
Yeah, basically.
We still don't have an answer to that.
Yeah, it's just one of those. It's just bad. Like
the sword thing is baffling to me because like I keep thinking back. Yeah. They're building up the sword, and all it is a key. But like, why does it require blood to grow? That's stupid. It's like Morgoth created this entire plan. Apparently,
right?
He can create mountains. He created the freaking volcano. Why does he need to create this random ass dam and sword and like pass it down to humans or something?
In fairness, the sword would make sense if the dam and everything was a defense mechanism tied to the tower, and like if you're invaded, flood the area and kill the invaders, I could forgive that, right? Like that would make sense.
Yeah, but it's not at all. They didn't think that far ahead.
No, they did not think that through. I'm giving them too much credit if they were with that idea, but it could be believable. This is why, Amazon should really just hire us to make the next season. That's my opinion at this rate. But no, why? No one died. Literally, no one died. You look at the camp at the end with all the refugees. There's more people there than were in the effing village.
Oh, speaking of the camp, so, we had that scene in the last episode where they're running across the field from the boats to somehow miraculously find this village. But they had time to set up a camp in a strategic location outside of the village.
The greatest camp ever.
Yeah, and the greatest camp ever.
Which is
also, I love how she's blind, doesn't want anyone to know, the queen. And then the next scene, she has a blindfold on, clearly being blind. It's like, okay.
Meditating on top of the mountain, like she's
she's just cosplaying as Kenshi from Mortal Kombat. Like, are you blind? No, not at all. I'm just honing my skills.
Yep.
I also love how she just refers to all of those people as soldier in the thing. Like, she doesn't know who the fuck they are. Come on, she knows
She
who
doesn't
they
know
are.
Elendil's own son.
Yeah, or the fact that one guy's one of her sergeants. Like, let's. Also, can we just stop pretending that Isildur even has a chance of dying? I mean, I understand writing a story still, but can you like not do it where it's an exact freaking copy of Aragorn with his effing horse going to save him? Because that's what's going to happen. The horse is going to find him, and he's going to bring him back, and he's going to have some super.
He's going to open the doors and have a cool swagger moment.
Yeah,
like, oh, yeah,
yeah.
I'm alive.
So he'll come back from it with his horse, and it's going to be the same stupid thing.
The number of people that, like, we touched on this I think we touched on this last week. The idea that you have so many people that have these absolutist mentalities. It's like, oh well, if you hate this, then you must hate that. It's like, yeah, I will absolutely criticize Lord of the Rings for the same bullshit because it's also the shit that's not in the fucking books. Okay, like I do not care for Aragorn falling to his death after he's dragged off a fucking cliff by a warg. Okay, and then his horse Deus Ex fucking Nea fucking walks up, finds his ass, and then he somehow unconsciously gets on top of the horse and rides back to Rohan, and he's totally fine. Yeah, I don't care about these characters doing the same shit. It drives me nuts. It is equal, and it is equal opportunity of criticism.
I can forgive it the first time it's done. The first time it's done, it's unique. Okay, like it's fine, creative flair, whatever you're trying to convey something.
Building tension, yeah.
You're trying to figure out
whatever.
You're trying to figure out how do we show this army marching towards them looking big as shit. Okay, I can forgive. But when you do it in this manner, it's a way worse carbon copy of something that was already questionable at best. I failed to see how he'll even bring useful information on the way back. It's literally them just having his horse rescue him. And
no, but he's gonna build Gondor in the next episode by himself. Because if you look at the timeline right now, that's the only way this makes sense.
Oh yes,
like, it's like it's a video game high school or a video game high school, right? VG high school or whatever. The main kid like leaves. He's like, all right, fine, I got expelled. So he leaves, and over the course of an entire like day, he starts up this massive arcade that's really popular. His buddies come over and see him. He's like, hey, what has it been? 5-6 hours? You haven't aged a day.
I really loved it too when they were talking about where are the Southlanders going to go. Oh, they're going to go to this abandoned colony of the Numenorians.
I know they mentioned the freaking colonies.
Like, wait! You guys have been acting like Numenor has not gone west to Middle Earth this entire time, and now all of a sudden there's an abandoned colony. Like that doesn't even fit the timeline at all.
An abandoned colony that no one thought, orcs, let's leave.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they decided to stay and fight in Tirharad. Why didn't, again, you had a day.
You have a perfectly built colony with massive walls, probably.
Yeah.
Given
and why would you live in a random spot anyway if you have like what's potentially like an awesome port city that you could just move
why
into,
wouldn't you have the Numenorians land there first?
Yep.
And
they did. They built it up in the last episode. I just didn't see it.
It was probably erected off screen like the camp.
Yeah, at this rate, Numenor built that colony right in there, and there's like, oh, we abandoned it now because we left here to go here.
We have this awesome tent colony now.
In the mountains with a high view.
Also, when they leave, there's only one ship.
Right.
So
that's all that's left.
Didn't they claim they only had like 2 ships to even bring soldiers there? So it's like
3.
They had 3.
I still don't understand the whole concept. Why are they even going to war? They should have just shipped Galadriel and Halbrand back to Middle Earth. I still like the whole concept makes no sense to me.
Well, it makes no sense because they don't have the freaking colonies to relay any information about conflict that they could engage in and seek to like take over more lands. the fact is, Numenor should be just trying to take over the Southlands. They shouldn't be giving any craps about anyone else. It's just
and
baffling.
they wouldn't be at this point. Like now that we're fast forwarding so much through the lore right now, and we're at the king who falls to Sauron essentially, the guy who like uses him as an advisor. So at this point, they would be totally okay with taking over the Southlands. That would be kind of an interesting story point. But then also, they don't know who the hell Galadriel is. They don't know who Halbrand is, but they're going to send their entire army to invade some random place. What if this is like a trap and the elves are about to take
coast? It's not even close to the coast.
No,
which makes
but the elves can just take
baffling.
Numenor now. There's no army there apparently, right? Like, was that the whole army? I'm very confused.
No, it was an expedition force of 500 men and horses.
Yeah.
That sure as fuck was not 500 men and horses.
No.
Also, did the Numenorians even use horses?
They should.
Weren't they like 7 feet tall?
Well, the Numenorians, a lot of them, like Elendil, are canonically like 8 feet tall.
Yeah, they're freaking gigantic.
So like the horses are big enough for them to like actually matter still, but the nothing works here. Like nothing is consistent. Nothing is logistical. Like none of it works. Like none of it has worked. None of it. It's all fucking problems. I would sooner invest in a fucking $1 billion dinosaur theme park.
Yes.
Yeah. Like there's none of it makes any damn sense. The whole the way it should play logically is like they get back, their queen is blinded, at least half of them are missing, not including half of the horses, and Pharazôn should be like, ugh, let's just stay here. Fuck these people.
Yep.
But you know he's not, if they get around to it.
It's just so lazy. It's the laziest writing I've ever seen in my life, because there's like CGI of landscapes. We don't want to waste too much effort on creating the parts of the world like this colony in advance so that you understand that it exists. No. We're going to do just we need it now. Let's just throw it up real quick. Probably never actually go to it at this rate. Ugh.
And the time lapse is like we're 7 episodes in, and the entire timeline we've seen should realistically have taken multiple years.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
They tried to force way too much into one season.
Agreed.
And nothing's really happened other than Mordor was made, which was a cool scene until you realize no one's gonna die. And then there's no Rings of Power yet. So
right.
Yeah.
And we're already 7 episodes in, so there's 2 more left.
No, there's only one.
Oh wait, there's only one.
Yeah. It's 8 episodes per season, and they're supposed to do 5 seasons. So they're gonna attempt to do 2/3, almost probably about half of the Silmarillion over the course of 40 episodes.
That's so cool.
And it's not even going to be accurate. It's going to be their version.
Yeah, which is just terrible.
And we have not even gotten away from the Numenorians and Galadriel and the Southlanders yet. And that's just how many complaints we have. I mean, okay.
We could be here forever
with that.
We could be here forever. I don't want to keep you guys.
Okay. I don't know about you guys, but I hate the Hobbits with a passion.
Yes. I'm so happy that the huts got burned down.
Because they ask things of him, and then he's working his magic, and
they jumped under the branch. I'm convinced of it. If you rewatch the scene,
they tackled. I'm pretty sure it's her younger sister under the branch that was falling. Why?
Yeah, and
pull her back.
Time they look at him, he's just trying to freaking help them as they ask. Every time, this isn't even the first time, and they look at him like he's this terrible villain. And the look, so it's the same look that's in the thumbnail for this video that she gives. She's like a Frodo mixed with Harry Potter, and they just confronted Lord Voldemort. That's the look of just freaking I just hate you and loathing that she has for him in that moment. It makes no sense.
And she keeps having that same face for him, and I don't know why.
And it's just like, you have no reason to have that face of loathing towards him, of fear and loathing. It makes no sense. If this is really Gandalf, I have no idea how he loves the hobbits.
Yeah.
If it was me, I would want to destroy every hobbit. Like,
this is going to be Saruman. This is going to be why he hates the hobbits so much.
It has to be. No, I was such a fan. Like, I thought I was just going to hate that Eminem character, but no, the Slim Shady really did stand up, and I like that character a lot right now, because the hobbits deserved every ounce of flame.
Nori is the character, right? Is that her name?
I think so.
She makes a little speech of like, man, I wish I had stayed on the path and I didn't go find the stranger or whatever. It's like, he hasn't done anything wrong. There's no like, he actually has saved your ass several times from those weird pig things. And then also, if it wasn't for him, your whole family would have been abandoned.
Right, which goes into the next part that pissed me off when he gives the speech. The dad gives the speech about how we all stay true to each other.
Bigger, hearts bigger than our feet. Bullshit.
The fuck are you talking about? They almost left your ass to die. Your group of hobbits are the most Darwinian set of bastards who won't help each other that has ever existed on the planet. And you're here saying, we stay true to each other. Yeah, dickish to each other. You're not nice.
The irony that, like, what? Two or three episodes ago, the one girl, one of Sadix's hoes, fucking was like, yeah, just take the wheels off their car. And then this episode, she's like, oh, you should go with them and help. It's like, you guys are sadists. I was right. You willingly are just like, oh, I'm gonna chalk this guy's name in this little book of memories. It's like the Scarlet Letter, but for death. Like,
they're the worst. They're the worst set of characters. I don't know if the writers are just awful. Well, yes.
The writers are some of the worst I've seen, and that's so redundant to say because we've said it so many times.
Right.
But genuinely, these writers are some of the worst I have ever seen in any sort of media. To perfectly exemplify this, I happened to stumble across an article because obviously I live under a rock compared to everyone else. I found an article in which they were talking about, or rather, I should say, the writers claim that Galadriel did go to Numenor in the books. That's not what happened at all. No. She never goes. The only place she goes is to Lorien, because she goes with Fëanor, but she doesn't quite like join the war effort or anything because she wants to rule. That's what she does. That's why she ends up going over there. She never once steps foot in Numenor. But these show writers, Dan and McFuckwater, whatever his name is, they will lie to your face and tell you, well, Galadriel totally went to Numenor. It's like really, like, this is where we're at. Ugh.
Let's not pretend either like the elves just went to Middle-earth to fight orcs and confront the big evil. Like Galadriel's group, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they go specifically to find lands to like rule over? Like, that's literally why her group went.
She is one of the Noldor. She's related to Fëanor. They were the ones who were like, oh, Morgoth killed, sucked the two trees dry and killed my dad and took off with my jewels. Let's go fuck him up. And that was it. And so that's when you have the Noldor leave Valinor, and that's where you get the kinslaying, because they take their ships.
And why they can't go back. So that opening scene doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah. All of that
I wish they would have done that in the show. Given them some, like, I don't know, they're not necessarily good people.
Yeah, I made a point about things being pretty simple. It's like like Lord of the Rings is pretty simple. It's generally speaking, it's light and dark, and there is gray, of course. I wasn't being exact in my language, and somebody did call me out, like, yeah, well, the elves kind of killed the other elves, and I'm like, yeah, that is correct, I know, but it's it drives me nuts. Like, just there's so much that could have been really cool.
Complex too, which I wish that was a little bit more spoken of.
Yeah.
Also, apparently they have the rights to the trilogy as well as The Hobbit now, and they chose to make a series based off only the appendices.
Correct.
Why didn't they? They could have redone the trilogy, which would have been sort of blasphemous, but at least they had more material to work from. And they also could have done something set within that time period, so it'd have a little bit more that they didn't have to create themselves, I guess.
They could have done shows about all the things that happen off screen.
Yeah, like the War of the North would have been a freaking awesome thing to see.
Yeah.
They would have... They actually wanted to do, if I remember correctly, they wanted to do a spin-off show about Aragorn.
The drama, yeah.
Yeah, and they basically wanted to take Lord of the Rings and MCU-ify it, and I would have fucking left a very angry Yelp review. just would not have been happy, because that's what they were going to do. They were going to just take everything and do what the MCU is doing by making a shit zillion different shows and no one can keep up with.
Yep.
And just pretend that, yeah, this is good. It's okay because it's popular. It's like, no, it's not.
The MCU model is what they should have done for the story that they're trying to currently tell. Because
maybe the original one, yeah, but right now, like what they're doing now.
No, the original, but like, okay, the reason it sucks is because they're literally trying to cut and paste and slam as much into one thing at one time. Like, if you had one season, if you had separate seasons dedicated to each of the story arcs and the time to dedicate to them, they might not suck, but they're literally skimping on world building to make up the difference in time scales and just trying to fit that many stories in one episode.
It is I touch on this in the review because I was finishing up some of the script today, and one of the things that I sort of realized is that this can best be broken down to as a means to an end. Because think about your favorite movies, your favorite shows, etc. And what comes to mind? It's usually the bigger moments, right? So Lord of the Rings, Balrog, Gandalf fights the Balrog. That comes to mind, right? So yeah, exactly. So the question is, how do you get to those points organically? Well, most writers would probably be like, I should actually like make everything. If I can't work it backwards to make it fit normally, I should start way at the beginning and try to play it through as best as I can, and then redraft. These guys were like, I want a shot at the Balrog. How do we do that? Well, have a dwarf throw a leaf into his room, and that'll be enough to piss him off. And it's just like, who's littering? And then boom, there you go. You have a Balrog, and you want to eat your fucking TV remote.
Yeah, and let's just stress how bad that is too. Like, the whole story behind the Balrog is dwarven greed awakens him when he's trapped down deep into the mountain, right? Well, where the frick is he trapped? Because he has direct access to just climb up that entire frickin' thing all the way up to the hole the dwarves just made. Like,
he's trapped under the retcon is what he is.
Yeah. There's no greed.
No, because they're not digging for greed. They're digging literally to save another race.
Yeah, it's like where's the greed? I don't see it. Did the elves just rewrite history? Is that the claim?
Well, that's what that's exactly what that was. Mithril just existed. There was no Balrog bitch slapped an elf and the tree was just like, and Mithril. That didn't happen.
No, yeah.
Mithril just existed in the world. And the dwarves happened to come across it. And when they opened up the cavern and they were like, this is really cool. And they kept going and going and going. And then
This is amazing
somebody
shit.
opens the door. The Balrog's like, hi, I'm the Balrog. And they're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Also, there's 2 Durins existing at the same time, which is really annoying to me. I haven't yet to bring this up, but that's not possible. Never happened. Because you get the name Durin because you're a reincarnation of Durin, so you can't have 2 of them at the same time.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't remember the exact details on it. I don't remember if it's because one looks exactly like or is literally reincarnation. I don't remember.
I think it's a reincarnation. Like, that's the idea. Anyway, they shouldn't both be there.
I don't like how they're portraying them though. Durin, the Prince Durin and his wife, they're making them seem like they're about to murder his father. And it's just like, okay.
Oh yeah, they ruin that dialogue. Speaking of that, so like she starts off saying like, yeah, you're gonna be a great king and you're gonna be able to do whatever you want. And then she suddenly is like, we will be in charge of this. It's gonna be our minds. It's like, oh wow, she's power hungry.
Right. Right, man. To the point where she's gonna like poison the father at this rate and kill
he is weak and feeble-minded. It's like, oh, boy.
I guess I just spoiled it. She's probably gonna be the reason he dies. They're gonna have him die at this rate. They don't care about how they changed the story.
Like she caps him in the knee so that everyone else can run from the Balrog.
No, she's gonna sing and the rocks are gonna respond to her and they're gonna just
drop on him. Yeah, they're gonna do something stupid.
It's like a Carbots animation. She's like, oh, and then a rock just like grows a leg and trips to her in the third. And then she's just like, later.
Oh, it's such a bad story arc, honestly.
Oh man, everything is just so terrible. Everything's so bad in this show.
How do you think it's gonna end in season 8? What are your predictions?
Oh, in episode 8, predictions.
No Balrog.
Dumb shit.
No Balrog. You're gonna go with that's a pretty bold one.
Yeah, I almost feel like that's just them saying, "Please watch the next season."
Yeah, like here's the thing. What can they really do? How much time can skip? That's the question. How much time can skip? Because, like, how much time is too much time for them to skip? That's the question we have to answer.
Well, they can't do more than like 20 years or something like that because they have the main characters that found freaking kingdoms in Middle Earth. So unless they just have Isildur die. Also, Isildur freaking defeats Sauron. So like there's so much that they have to pack into, even though Numenorians live longer in such a short amount of time. Because he has to build up his entire army. He has to basically build the entirety of Mordor. So like all the castles, like the tower that eventually holds the eye. It's not there right now.
Right. Well, Sauron's not even there yet. So
no. So the rings have to be created. He has to trick people to put on the rings. Then he has to create his own ring.
I think the rings get built. I think the forged, in this next episode. They have to. That's what's hinted to, right? With the explosion and shit.
Well, Celebrimbor talks about we are on the cusp of making a new power or
fine. Then they don't actually make it until like the last seconds. One of them is made.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're gonna do that myself because initially I was thinking, they're probably gonna have Sauron be revealed and she's gonna, Halbrand is gonna break Galadriel's heart because he's Sauron. Obviously, he's like 7 feet tall. And we know that the stranger is going to probably get into combat with Feminem and her backup singers.
Yeah.
And I am willing to bet Nori and them are going to catch up to the stranger and they're going to get hurt and the stranger is going to turn around and fight Feminem. I'm willing to bet they're going to barely touch on, if at all, the Balrog gets out, and it's gonna kill Durin the Third, and everything's gonna probably end on some sort of cliffhanger is what they're gonna try to do. Be like, oh, we need to watch season 2, and I'm willing to bet, even if he wasn't Sauron, that's ridiculous. Halbrand, who has a gaping septic wound in his stomach is going to
Right.
Walk
ride
around and ride the couple hundred. miles.
who's going to ride all the way from Urun to Eregion for, elf medicine. He's going to influence Celebrimbor or Gil-galad or whoever, and bada bing, bada boom, Rings of Power, Sauron. Oh no.
What? That's the thing. Is he going to be Sauron? I mean, I guess probably.
That's another thing. Is like we
Or
don't
is it
know
the stranger?
Who the
That's
damn
the
elf. We don't know who the elf lords are. We don't know any of the freaking human kings. We only know one effing dwarf lord.
right. They haven't even given us any human kings yet, except for Halbrand, who's not really a king because he has no.
So there's
kingdom.
there's no buildup. There's no reason to even make these rings. Like, do they even exist in this world? Are they only gonna make one ring?
Also, can we just point out that only one dwarf kingdom currently exists too?
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they had every opportunity to talk about how there could be more kingdoms, but they've avoided
Well, there's
it.
7. There's 7 dwarf lords. So like, what the hell?
Yeah, fuck the Blue Mountains, apparently.
Yeah.
You know those guys who are literally just north of Gil-galad and
okay, but
London.
did you notice that they're probably going to make it where they're all under the Longbeard kingdom because they were talking about the other lords? Didn't you remember when in the beginning?
Maybe
I flushed the dialogue because it's so bad.
Yeah, it's bad, but they're referring to the other ones as dwarf lords, and but there's only one king, so they're gonna pretend like all the dwarf lords are under the freaking Longbeard banner, which is stupid, so stupid.
Well, to quickly go back to the point of what we touched on a little bit ago, where like they're only just they're only reshowing that which they've already they've experienced. They're probably going to stick to just Khazad-dûm because that's what everyone knows.
Right.
Like no, that's it. You know, we're not going to see the Lonely Mountain dwarves. We know that we're not going to. You know, everything is going to be in Khazad-dûm because Khazad-dûm is the only place that anyone knows. The fact that we haven't actually gone to Rivendell or Lorien is amazing to me.
After though, with them leaving Khazad-dûm, I thought.
No, I think it's its own kingdom at this point.
Lonely Mountain should be its own kingdom because it's not until like the what is it? Beginning of the Third Age, or like the halfway point between like when Sauron gets defeated and when the Fellowship starts, that Smaug is just like, this is mine now.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're a full-on city, and it's like Oakenshield, Thor Oakenshield has it. He's not even born yet.
Yeah, I was just under the impression that I thought that for some reason, I mean, Durin's folk have to find their way over there at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all tied to them on like, because then they go to the other mountains, the Blue Mountains for a while, then they have to flee that area, and then I don't
Regardless, there's other places they can at least mention.
Well, there's supposed to be dwarves in the frickin' Southlands. That's the part that annoys the crap out of me right now. There's supposed to be dwarves there, and you have all this action by the mountains, right? Almost everything's happening in mountains, and they're not taking an opportunity to bring these dwarves into play at all. Okay.
Let's expand on that idea. Why is it that once again, instead of going to something new, we stick with Sauron?
Fair enough.
There's an entire Morgoth to go over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not happy because I love monsters and creatures and whatnot, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's like you say Godzilla and I'm just like, you know, I perk up like a husky, and it's like they didn't even attempt to show Shelob's mother drinking the trees.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Like,
where's Shelob should exist at this point too, in Mordor, right? Isn't she already in the mountain passes?
If she wasn't in the mountain passes, she's in the forests on the northern end of the Rovanian.
Okay.
But regardless, it's like Ungoliant and Morgoth, like the Unlight, all of that gets like the whole peninsula of Middle Earth that sinks into the ocean. Gone. The War of Wrath. We skipped it over for some fucking visual that tried to mislead people. That was it. Nothing at all. All of that literal thousands of years of lore, conflict, and characters, Feanor, and this whole new cast of characters that could have been introduced to fans of the original series of the Jackson trilogy. And they just made new of OCs and forced it into a story that only just happens to predate the Jackson trilogy. That's it.
Yeah.
It's the modern storytelling is written by children.
It's so true.
Yeah, there's no creativity that was even explored when it comes to this. The entire what they chose to even write about. No,
it would have been cool to see the Baron Luthien story. I mean, you have werewolves, bats, a giant dog. There's a giant wolf even in it. It would have been really cool. And the Silmarils, so it could have been like a
all of those would have been good stories. I don't think there's a single one that would have been bad. And let's be honest, they're not exactly like T for teen. All right, like so some of those stories are pretty mature stories that you could have had your HBO Game of Thrones episode. You really could have.
Like to think that I was like at one point I was genuinely kind of excited that like the end of the War of Wrath or not the War of Wrath but the defeat of Morgoth. It's like we could have actually seen that. You know, and as he ran, his feet were hewn from under him, and they picked him up. As they picked him up, and they beat his crown over his neck, over his head, to become a collar around his neck. Like that will probably never be seen in media. It probably will never be, because it's unfortunate. Like are the writers and everything. It's not just that they're children. It's key dangling. It's always, oh look, you recognize this. I recognize this. Therefore, it is entertaining. It is cool, and that means it is good, which is not the fucking case at all, obviously, and that drives me insane because it's like we don't have anybody who has any knowledge of these things. Obviously, the showrunners don't have knowledge of the Silmarillion. You know, it's like, oh, Galadriel went to Numenor. It's like, no.
They didn't do the basic thing, which was having people do research. It's very basic. It's not hard. They didn't even have to make anyone do research. They could have just paid a few people who already read all the shit to consult. They could have just gone to consultants.
Well, they had them in the beginning. They fired them
because they told them they were retarded, probably.
I think. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, look at what Jackson did. They were like, "Hey, Jackson, could you help us with the script?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure. Let me see the script." And they're like,
no."
And then they hung up on him, and they ignored him.
It's such a bad script.
Like that's actually what happened. Jackson was like, "Yeah, sure. Let me see the script," and then they completely like blacklisted him.
Here's a question. We haven't really talked about it, but who is the Slim Shady gang? Because that's like,
I think I heard that they're supposed to be the cult of Sauron, but there's no context to that, and I have no idea how you know that.
The cult of Sauron, which would then make it where the tall stranger dude is Sauron. Obviously, they're looking for him.
Yeah,
I think they are. I think they're gonna try and do the red herring thing. I seriously think the stranger is Gandalf, and I'm. You cannot convince me otherwise. Like this show could prove me completely wrong that Halbrand isn't Sauron, and I wouldn't believe it. It's just there is no way with how everything is built that they would break off of this pattern. Like we've seen all of this. I made a joke and it was real.
Right. It's just hard for me to see that as I just don't understand who the hell those characters are. And I want to know. That's the problem. I just want to know who they are because they don't seem to fit with anything. And
Will is correct. They are supposed to be like the cult of Sauron or Morgoth or something. Like that's what they're supposed to be. I just think they're going to fight with a stranger because they're going to realize, oh crap, you're not the one we're looking for.
Yep.
Did Gandalf actually come at the same time as Sauron?
No,
No.
until after the fall of Numenor. Actually, he might even come after when he Sauron falls.
Well,
Well, the blue
on a
ones came
technicality,
during.
I think on a technicality they're all the same age because they all Sauron, the wizards, they're all Maiar.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like when they actually come to Middle Earth, pain in my ass.
Oh yes. No, Sauron was like first lieutenant and general of he was Morgoth's right hand like the whole time.
Yeah, but I don't think they sent the Valar don't send like the Maiar as in Gandalf, the Blue Wizards, and Saruman and Radagast until either just the fall of Numenor happens, or is it after the Last Alliance?
No. They're around before that, I think.
So it's after the fall of Numenor. Then that's when they send them.
I believe so.
It doesn't matter. It's not like they're sticking.
I'd rather that they just made that character Tom Bombadil, because that would at least be entertaining. It'd be the only reason he doesn't want to murder the hobbits, because he doesn't care enough to murder the hobbits. That's literally the only thing I can think of right now for why he hasn't killed them. So.
I'm willing to bet I'm willing to bet the writers would have the exact same perspective as I did when I first started reading Fellowship, and I was like, the fuck is a Tom Bombadil?
He's such a fun character.
Such a weird diversion in the story, but I know it's the whole point of that character is he's completely unexplained, but still.
Yeah, he's I think he's supposed to be like literally like the power of nature, I think. But none of it's explained. At least I haven't read the books about him.
He's supposed to be a representation of the Oxford countryside or something.
Yeah, something like that. He's supposed to be nature, and that's why the ring. He's just like, oh, look at this ring, and it fits. And the hobbits are like, wait a minute, why aren't you disappearing? And he's like, oh yeah, fuck this thing. Throws it aside.
Honestly, though, with this next episode, I think it's just going to completely disappoint in like even the worst ways. It's going to be a whole lot of nothing. I just don't see it being a lot of anything. So it's just going to be like hey, we introduced you to this universe that we didn't build the entire time this first season, and we're not going to give you anything of like huge substance. So come back for season 2. We already started filming.
Actually, I take it back. So I think you guys kind of alluded to this before, so I might be repeating what you said, but now that I remember that Halbrand is actually going to that kingdom, he's totally going to influence Celebrimbor more to make the rings. You're going to see the rings getting made, and then right at the end, Halbrand's going to look at the camera, and you're going to see the eye of Sauron in his eye, and that's how they're going to end it. God. And they're going to be like, "This is the greatest story ever."
They're going to, the glint of the eye in his eye.
Yep, totally going to
the glint of the eye in his eye.
And then subtly he'll say, "I see you."
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I think is going to happen.
That's awful. And he's
on the what did you just say that reminded me? So the season 2 has officially like started filming or whatever. I don't actually think that's true. So I happened to see who was it? I don't remember if it was Star Wars girl or if it was Melanie Mack, one of the two of them. And they were sharing a post that said, season 2 has officially started filming. And I brought this up, I think, on the last episode of this. And I looked back into those two accounts real quick. They are not official accounts for either Morphed Clark or Rings of Power. They are fan accounts.
Well, here's the thing that still baffles me. Are you telling me that Jeff Bezos did not pre-screen this season? Like, that's the thing that still baffles me. Like, I know he's rich as shit and has all the money in the world to throw around, but are you telling me that he really wanted to go to market with this show? Like, he wanted this to be his company's Game of Thrones, basically, and tell me how he's convinced that was good to bring. That was a
He
product
has a
worthy.
terrible taste in TV shows.
Right. Like he's just, there's no freaking way he watched this. He just was like, I'm punting. I trust you guys.
I can't imagine that he actually watched it at all. First off, I think he's still in court for divorce. Second, the whole
there's no way he's still in court for divorce because his wife already remarried.
Oh man, whatever.
And got divorced again. So.
Either way, I'm pretty sure it was the Quartering that was talking about if this show fails, that Amazon was going to shut down their studios, and I can't imagine that they would allow it to happen. Because with everything that we have seen, the constant statements of, oh, the show is a success, as every NPC will try to defend, I'm not seeing it. And the Quartering has been doing a few videos where he's talking about actual ratings that are coming from some company or individual that are disproving it across the board, that they have this working. It's like, even if we go by their own sort of metrics of, performance, even if you look at, say, Rotten Tomatoes, it's like under 40% across the board on audience score. There is no way that it could possibly be, constantly good. If you go to Amazon Prime right now, the star rating bounces between 3 and 3.5. And yet mysteriously, there's not a single 1 or 2-star review in sight. Not a one of them. And you could scroll through 5 pages of it. It does not show.
I mean, it's savable. It is savable technically, in the sense of you have the right to do 5 seasons. Just pretend this one didn't happen. Just like, it's savable if you are willing to just write this off as like, let's make this so bad it's a joke thing, and it's eventually affectionately looked back on as the time that Amazon realized they fucked up and made proper corrections. But like, can you guys believe how bad this is, type of thing? Like, that's what this needs to be relegated to. Something where it's just like, okay, you guys, we're going to make this into a drinking game. Yep. How far can you go without...
Every time Galadriel is stupid.
Right. So it's like, there's a way they could make this like looked at fondly, but they literally have to destroy it right now. Like, after this season, they have to abandon it. And
toss it into the fire. Destroy it.
Yes, they really have to do that. And they could save it if they want the success long term with the other 4 seasons. They have to just destroy this one. Just abandon it. It's not good. The writers need to be fired. The directors probably need to be fired too.
Isn't that such a weird thing too? Like, the idea that long-term success, long-term, anything, it specifically success, is looked down upon in favor of short-term gain.
Oh yeah.
That is baffling to me, that people genuinely think that's a good idea.
Here's the thing though, they could easily lean into how bad it is. Like Amazon, if Amazon wanted to turn it into a success still, they could lean into how bad it is, punish the writers and the directors by like giving them like the black mark of you're never, like the scarlet letter of you're not allowed to work for us ever again. And they might come out more popular than they were before. They just have to like lean into the will of the people on this one. Like, that's where I'm thinking.
According to them though, they have this is the best show ever and everyone loves it. So
yes,
they're never going to admit that they're lying through their teeth on this.
I know. If they lacked a little bit of pride and they decided to go humble, they could probably come out way better off. So they could have the short-term and long-term success. I don't know. They're just not strategically thinking it through, in my opinion. It's, yeah.
All right, well, do you want to spend the last 5 minutes talking about the better show?
Oh my gosh.
Please, by all means.
5 minutes is not enough, but all right. Before we switch over, we do have a promo code for coffee brand coffee. So use the CHRILLCAST to buy some coffee. All right.
Do it.
And Chris would kill us if we didn't.
Maybe it's my dyslexia, but I read that as CHRILLCAST.
So, all right.
Absolutely.
House of the Dragon. Here's the thing about House of the Dragon, from my opinion right now. It's 1,000 times better than the Rings of Power, and it's quite obviously also setting up to like be multiple seasons. Yes. So it's like you keep expecting the shoe to drop, and they're just world building, but they do enough little things in it to keep you like highly interested and kind of surprised, with just enough conflict to keep the world building interesting. And I'm okay with the season. People could say it's boring, but like
people are gonna die in the next episode for sure.
Yeah, but like people could claim that the season's boring, but like they're setting it up perfectly for the next season.
Yeah, agreed.
It's perfect. What really happened in the first, this actually, like the amount of climax to this show is about aligned with the very first Game of Thrones season.
Yeah,
perfectly aligned. Actually, it has had more action. Technically, you've had enough people die. I mean, it's a strong episode for me. It's kind of sad at the same time.
It's so sad. Viserys is such a good character. Oh my gosh, the actor does such a good job. You feel so strongly for him that he just wants the family to love each other and not suck, but he knows what's going to happen
at the end.
Yeah. Well, who do you think he's talking to? Do you think he actually is trying to talk to his wife, or
he's actually talking to Rhaenyra?
Yeah,
he actually is trying to talk to Rhaenyra because he's answering her original questions about the prophecy.
Yep.
But no, what's the younger brother named? I forget his name. The one with the eye patch.
Oh, Aemond? I want him to die so much, though.
Dude.
Oh my God.
Okay, I freaking hated him when he was a little kid because he was just cunty. But now that he's like,
he still is. Now he's just growing
up.
Still
cunty, but now he's like more Daemon vibes, and it's like I hate the fact that I think you're kind of a badass because you're entertaining. So it's like
I want him and Daemon to fight now. Is really what I
want. Oh, really? I know. It's. But like, okay, when Daemon just cuts the one dude's head off, though.
Oh, I know. Oh man, that was shocking.
That was just like, I love it because Daemon's just like, come on, say it. He's waiting for his chance, and that's basically what Aemon's like too. He's just like, come on.
Yeah, well, I think you see Aemon's reaction to that, and he actually smiles like he's happy that that's happened.
Oh yeah.
Which I mean, he is ballsy as shit in that moment to do that at the dinner party with Daemon sitting there. It's like you just saw Daemon literally decapitate someone for saying this.
Yeah.
No qualms about it.
He is Daemon. That's who he's channeling, and it works. It's just like, it's one of those things where you see all these moments where they failed. They could have made it like a happy family. Example. The one if they just married their children together, the daughter and the son of Rhaenyra, like if they had been married together, it would have been fine.
Yep.
It would have been perfectly fine. There's no reason for them to hate each other. But no. Instead,
I do like the fact that the bastard kids are really nice, and then the ones that are like trueborn are just complete assholes.
Yeah.
But what's also funny is they both have the same amount of Targaryen blood in them, and yet they're like having a pissing match over who's more Valyrian.
Right, like it matters if they're Valyrian or not. They're both Targaryen. So
exactly. It's just like you're both in the same house. Shut up.
Yeah, dude. No, but like smart move marrying the.
Yep.
I don't know why the uncle had to be so upset about that. It's like it's still your blood, bro. It's like still your blood now is going to rule in charge of your sea snake kingdom. So,
I will say that they've made it way too obvious that those kids are bastards. I'm pretty certain that in the book it's like less obvious because I'm pretty certain that that character isn't black. So it's not like, oh, you have white kids. Clearly those, aren't.
Well, yes, that is the problem with the creative license the show took.
Yeah, I like what they did, but it makes this scene so much more obvious that those are clearly bastards. Whereas before, I don't even think Rhaenyra knows if they are bastards or not.
You shouldn't know. That's the thing. Like, they shouldn't know because they're not supposed to be half black. They're supposed to be just both of their parents are white. You're left wondering, and there's the question of, well, do we have any way for them to prove that they're not bastards? No. Nope. So let's claim it so that we can try to get
what the thing is, it's clearly is well hidden, you know, the way they look. You definitely can't tell that they're bastards in the show. That's why you need Ned Stark to come and look through a book and determine
dark, not dark. Wait, what?
Wait a minute.
It's like the chart that is stuck with is like not terrorist.
Yeah. Like, no, the next episode it will have to be really good. I mean, the spin from the ending there is just gonna like polar opposite. Everyone's gonna be freaking surprised.
The eye patch guy definitely has a big part to play because I distinctly remember him now. Now that he has the eye patch and the longer hair, he's definitely in the book. So he definitely is around for a while. I don't remember what happens to the rest of them. Also, is the one son married to his sister?
Yes, that's the thing.
Okay.
Yes, the old Aegon is married to his younger sister.
Yeah, totally missed that.
He doesn't give any craps about it. So she's just like, he mostly ignores you kind of thing. And then he proceeds to dance with her cousin. And
she also says something something about the beast under the floorboards. So she makes a prophecy every episode, and I think that's going to mean something.
Oh, I haven't paid attention to that enough.
Well, she makes the first prophecy that he's going to gain a dragon but lose an eye, and then that's exactly what happens. And then I forget what she says the next episode, but that also comes true. And now she said the beast under the floorboard thing. So we'll see.
It's just a pair of really squeaky fishing boots. I took the boots. They're here under the floorboards. Make it stop. That's all I can imagine. It's like my favorite episode.
Oh my gosh.
The more we see too, it's like I feel like they did pick good actors. I don't know if I necessarily think the Rhaenyra's sons have the best actor. Well, not the older one seems like way more. He just seems young and frail. He just seems young and frail compared to the I guess his uncles.
Yeah, well, clearly the uncles seem like way more badass and more. Yeah. Well, it's crazy because I believe both of her sons are still dragon riders, so there should be some like prestige to that.
They both have dragons. That's true, and it's just like you'd think they would be a little bit more capable. It's not like their father was a weakling. He was. No. I mean, he was a commander of the King's Guard, so City Watch or whatever.
Yes,
not King's Guard, City Watch. I mean, yeah, it's just like, okay, let's just pretend like they're not set up to be strong warriors. But no, it's I struggle with a rating. I really do, because it's like that one feels I feel like it's better than an 8, but I don't know if it's a 9. I think I'll go with an 8.5.
Yeah, I'll go with an 8. It definitely is a build-up episode, so like now that happens, but you can feel the momentum going. And every single series, that's fair. But as far as like, there's like the one action scene where the guy gets decapitated, but every single scene that Viserys is in, you just feel for that guy. Oh my gosh, like he's running away.
Decapitated. I happened to see the clip and I was just like, that's,
Yeah, no, just unbelievable acting.
That's character building. That's actual character building. See, Amazon, watch Game of Thrones again. Just watch it. Don't watch the last seasons of the original series. Those are garbage. That's what you guys made. Watch something else. Any other season. Literally.
Well, they already tried with the game of elves in Linden and Eregion with Elrond being fucking puppeteered.
Oh my gosh! You know, if they actually
don't do it.
If they actually made a show based on the stories of the elves, like that would actually be good. But no, they don't want to put the effort in.
They could have done any story
with that's focused on the elves. Any story that was written basically by Tolkien, and it would have been good basically. But no, they wanted to be creative, and they don't have.
You're giving them so much credit because they're trying to base this on the appendices, and they couldn't get it right.
That's why I said they tried to be creative, and they don't have creativity.
No.
So
that's the thing is, like, if they didn't have enough material for them to actually make a show, do something else. They have the rights to the trilogy and The Hobbit. You could have done something else.
Well, they should splash the cash to get the rights to anything else. That's basically what they should have done.
Yeah.
Well, for the Rings of Power, I'm still 0. That's a solid 0 rating because actually -1 because it's so clear that they forgot that Galadriel's married. It doesn't even fit how they put it in there.
They should just had scrolling.
Oh shit! We have one more episode left after this one, but she was married. You guys, we should probably mention something, and we can't leave it to the last episode. Okay, you guys, second to last. We put it in there. Okay, yeah, it's
great writing.
Yeah. That's the least intrusive to our story because the other ones would require her to speak more in a way that's not her being powerful. It might diminish her early on. And we don't want.
She did have some emotion. I saw her like smirk slightly in one scene.
She's.
Oh, my boy toy isn't dead. Yay!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I think that's the only emotion she ever does have.
Yeah, she's never scared. She's never like.
She's
no!
sad.
I'm sorry. She's.
Oh,
angry.
she cried. She cried for the queen.
She did.
Oh yeah. All those
for
crocodile tears.
Oh yeah, I guess they saw some tears. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't believable.
No.
Exactly.
It didn't make sense that she would cry for the queen anyway. So, whatever.
Yep.
But the only other emotion she shows is a smirk every so often. Usually at awkward times where it's like, why are you smirking?
Except when they did her dirty in episode 2 when she's riding the horse.
I have no idea what was going on there. That was so weird. Slow motion, like Joker grin as she's riding the horse. That was weird.
It's bad. So -10 because that's actually
10.
so egregious. It's so egregious actually that I have to say -10. Yep,
I'm gonna give this
-10
one
for Rings of Power, 8.5 for House of the Dragon.
Yep, 0 and 8 for me.
You're not going to go negative this week?
No, I didn't feel as insulted this time. I think maybe I'm just growing numb to it.
Okay, come on. You don't feel insulted by the I was married once.
Okay, fair. I'll give it a negative 1 for that.
He didn't even fit into his armor. He didn't even fit into his armor.
I thought that
and I called him a silver clam and laughed at him. And then I never see him again. And she's just like says it almost where she grins because she's just the terrible wife.
Yep.
And then you're like, am I supposed to feel bad for her? That's just like, I feel like she's the villain.
Yeah, she definitely is.
It's just like
maybe she's Sauron.
You didn't help your husband get armor that fit, even though you're a important elf family, and he supposedly dies where you just laughed at him prior to. Maybe if you'd been helpful instead of mocking, he might not have died. But no, I mean he doesn't die because
also isn't she the commander of the armies? Why wouldn't she have sent him out in like misfitting armor? I
mean, that's another question because they're not even supposed to be separated right now, so that's a different issue. So, are you sure you're not going to go negative?
I said -1. I give it -1.
Okay. What about you?
It's just it's all terrible. I don't really have much to offer.
You don't have a rating. It's just
like
hell.
like it's just everything is still just hell. I'm the dog in the bowler cap sitting at my coffee table. It's like this is fine. Like this is exactly where I'm at. This is where I've been at since episode 1. There's just nothing. It's funny actually. Somebody asked me in the comments, so what is the best episode? And I was like, ooh, that's actually kind of a hard one.
What is the best episode?
Like which is the best episode for Rings of Power? Like have you seen, like, just as a thought experiment, I was just like, fuck.
The trailer?
Episode 1 is the best episode.
Yeah, basically. Just because it's the least offensive thing.
Yep.
I was gonna say episode 1 just because you go in there still feeling like maybe you
Hopeful.
feeling
Naively hopeful.
And it can only, like, each one episode can only bring you down so far. So since that was your peak emotional, like, investment, that has to be the best episode, right? It can only take you down so far. And you're like, oh, maybe they world build in the second episode.
I almost want to say episode 2 actually, just because nothing happens.
No, but you're being introduced to characters in 1, so you're like, okay, I want them to explain some things.
Well, sure,
but you're just introducing everybody, and you seem to have a lot of story arcs to manage. So I'll forgive. Nothing really happens in 1 either. Is the problem?
I mean, Galadriel does flawless victory a snow troll that just clapped the cheeks of her entire fellowship. in episode 2, she's just like, I'm on a boat.
Yeah, actually, I'll go with you. Number 2 is best because you think Galadriel might just disappear. Yeah, never mind. I revised my statement 2 because she does least amount of damage to the sword.
No, she jumps off the boat. And I was like, she's gonna swim back. This is her plan.
Actually, shit, that's actually bad too. There's no good option. There's no good option because she is so
no good
bad.
option. Yeah, that's why I almost actually kind of liked the battle of Tirharad episode the most, only because it managed to stay consistent on a single storyline 99% of the time.
Well, except for the orcs are humans now. Like,
well, I mean, sure, but it would occasionally go to the Númenóreans, just like, yeah, they're coming, don't worry, and then, but like it stayed in the Southlands the whole time. No Game of Elves bullshit, and incredibly, underlying tones like fucking Nightmare on Elm Street 2 with Elrond and Durin, and we didn't go with the fucking wandering sadists. It was just that. It was just
That's
that.
Fair. Yeah.
Just the Southlands. And I, for as bad as it was, as the horrible the choreography was, with everyone taking 2 to 3 seconds to do a thing, for as dumb as it was that Bronwyn got shot by 2 arrows,
there's
first arrow magically disappears, it stayed consistent.
Did it? You're forgetting that Hellbrand managed to teleport and ride across from the other direction.
No. He's saying it's just one storyline. So we focused on one.
It's focused on the one storyline, nothing else, and that's like the only thing they managed to get right in that entire episode.
But it managed to show how bad they are when writing one storyline, so that you can't be distracted from the inconsistencies by them being all over the place. They like hide the lack of depth and consistency within each story arc by hop skipping over every time they start to get any depth to it at all. They avoid it by just like, it's a rock skipping. Every time you think it's going to sink deeper, next story arc.
Yeah, every time you think it's going to go in a straight line, it bounces off the head of a frog and goes in a different direction. Like, how are we doing this? It is almost astonishing watching this show be such trash all the way through, because there's so many things that there's so many things that I am getting people in my comment sections are telling me like there are things you missed, and I'm like, what did I miss? And then somebody's like,
I watched it twice. I watched it twice because I was just that disinterested the first time because it was so bad, and I had to watch it a second time and be like, ugh.
Yeah, so
sucks.
that
It sucks.
what was it was not this episode, but the last episode where like a bunch of people pointed out it's like, so there was something you missed, not blaming you of course, but like you just happened to miss that the Numenorians were coming from the east, and I was like, what?
Wait a minute.
The east? And then I went back and I watched that scene when the Numenorians are riding into Tirharad. The sun is behind them.
Gosh,
They went around Numenor, or around Mordor, and they went around. The fuck. Yeah, I happen to look. I happen to be checking the video, and people are like, they came from the east. They came from the east. They came from the east. And I was like, oh my god, really? Sure as shit. Go, you look it up right now. They are riding with the sun totally at their back like it's Sun Tzu, and I couldn't fucking believe. I must have been so gone. I must have been so gone paying attention to that. Yeah, you know see?
This is our reaction to the my god, you're right reaction.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Nikki.
We missed it too.
It hurts.
We missed it too.
My brain.
I was just okay. Let me put you in the mindset I had. The first time I watched it, I literally had to rewind it in the middle of it because I was so bored of this conflict that's supposed to be exciting. Mm-hmm. Like it was the most dull, uninvesting. Like I had to rewind a solid 20 minutes at one point because I was just like, holy shit, I just zoned out watching this. It's so bad. And that was basically, like, I realized I got woken up by the alarm bell of, wait, they're humans? Like, I was just like, what the hell did I miss? Rewind, rewatch the entire conflict scene all over again. Like, the entire freaking thing. I'm like, there's no effing people.
No. It's clearly orcs, and they're trying to say, like, I'm so confused by that whole person scene. Anyway.
It's just like I was just so I just zoned out.
They also sailed up a body of water that doesn't exist. If you look at the map, it's not there.
So, wait, which body of water?
They invented a river that connects to the sea to sail up to the Southlands for the show. It doesn't exist on the map.
Really?
So they made another
the bay south of.
No, so there is a bay, and there is like the Sea of Nurnin or whatever, but it's not where they're at. If you actually go and look at the map that they show in the show, sorry, that was weird. That they have in the show that they're trying to like link where they're going to sail up. That doesn't exist on Tolkien's map.
I was going to say the Southlands are nowhere near the bay. You have to like go through mountains from the bay.
Yeah, the bay is all the way at Harendor. Harendor? I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yeah, South Gondor. Yeah, they would have to sail up the. Yeah, because because this is where the Anduin River flows all the way into the sea. They would have to sail up past Tolfalos, up the Anduin River against the current.
Yeah.
And then they would have to park it next to Osgiliath.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wonder how they pulled that one off. They sailed they sailed up river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they sailed.
I just like to imagine I just like to imagine that they probably have like 500 horses, and all of the horses' legs are sticking through the bottom of the boat, and they just ran up the river like the Flintstones.
I mean, well, the Sea of Nurnin is in Mordor, technically.
Yeah,
the Sea of Nurn is sure, but the river Anduin doesn't go into what is supposed to be the Southlands. Because they have the Ethel Duoth. They have to go through the whole mountain range. Which is another... How did they... They took 2 days? They're still hundreds of miles out by horse.
Oh
how?
My gosh.
And they built the encampment on a scenic mountaintop in a Minecraft server. Like, how?
Well, also it's all canvas, too. That's not really a very helpful fortification. Just... Throwing that out there.
Who was left behind to guard the camp, by the way? Remember, there's supposed to be 500 Numenorians.
Mm-hmm.
First off, if you go back to the scene where they're charging in, there's not 500. You're talking maybe 100 or so people, and not including copy paste. But 500, I don't see it. I don't see it.
They never once display the Numenorians in the numbers that you need to believe.
Yeah. Anyway, we could probably shit on this show all night. Because it's that terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, though, go back and watch the episode where they're explaining how they're going to get to the Southlands. They invent a new river that they can sail up.
I'll have to double check it because I don't remember that specifically.
Well, there are 2 rivers on the map. It's just a question.
The one that they use does not exist because it sails right to basically where Mount Doom is.
Okay, but they're nowhere near Mount Doom.
No,
technically,
you can see it. So like they're within that little mountain range. They're on the other side of it clearly.
Also, okay, before we go though, does anyone else find it really bullshit that that's how Mount Doom is made? Still, that the river goes into it because, like, why? What is sustaining this reaction? I mean, okay, you have this causes it to be explosive. I understand how steam works and all, but it literally
the mountain's wide open.
Yeah, the mountain's literally open. So why is this going to where's the pressure cooker coming from? It has a relief valve. It would just be making a volcanic tea. That's all it's making, and then solidifying. So if anything, you're just extinguishing the volcano. I just need this explained conceptually on where, I know the writers are probably stupid and never took a science class in their life, but it needs to be explained to me.
On that point, that's another thing that I apparently missed. And, this is why I love my audience. They will help point out things that even I miss. And let's add on to the point Nikki just made about, why is the burden of logic on the shoulders of the fans? Yeah. Here's a thing that I bet you two didn't notice either. It's a mountain, right? It's a volcano. Okay. Yeah. Glad we agree. Okay. The water flows up the mountain.
There is a lot of inertia
from across the Southlands.
Well, wait.
They have to travel so far. Look at that map, man. It would have to go so far.
A pyroclastic flow. Let's even just put this into relative perspective. I'm just
trying to think. How far did they put it in a tunnel?
So they dug their trenches, which are like 5 feet deep. Okay. A pyroclastic flow travels, the biggest one is something like 75 or so miles, right? If that were the case, the river would have to travel 75 miles and uphill to go into the fucking volcano.
Oh, it's so bad.
Oh, man, you're so right.
There's nothing about the volcano that makes any sense.
Nope.
None. I think that's the problem. Nothing about it makes sense. Also, why the hell does the mountain still exist in its entirety? Where someone needs to explain where all those rocks that got launched from.
Yeah, all the way up to the north of the Rovanian.
Yeah, where did those rocks come from? Because they're not missing from the mountain. The mountain looks perfectly whole with just smoke billowing out of it now. Which, by the way, why is it billowing? Why would it be continuously billowing ash and soot?
A normal volcano?
Yeah, why isn't it like a normal volcano? And if they're trying to claim that the water is still causing stuff because the river flows into it, it would just be making steam. It would rain a lot in the Southlands. That's about it. Yeah.
It's so bad. Also, the orcs had no resistance in the Southlands. Why didn't they just kill everyone and then have this wonderful fertile land?
Why did they have to
sunlight.
avoid the elves that didn't see them? Good question, Will.
Well, I mean, they eliminated the elves perfectly fine. So it's like.
Also, there's apparently only one village. There's 2 villages in all of the Southlands, and Halbrand is the king of 2 villages.
Right. Like, where are the soldiers in the Southlands? Where are the fighting quality men that could fight any form of orcs? It's not like they would have been completely disarmed by the elves. There's still usefulness for people to defend themselves.
Yeah. Also, what's he king of now? Like the country is gone.
Why? He's like, I won't let this land continue to burn in fire. What are you going to do? Pee on the volcano?
Well, no, they have another dam that they have. Another sword is going to unlock another dam, and it's going to put out all the fire. It's going to be totally great.
Stop giving them ideas.
It's so bad. It's just so bad. I just don't. There's no logic to where the story can possibly go for it. That's the problem.
Just shaking your head. Yep, that's how I feel too.
I'm reading the comments right now
because it hurts. Everything hurts. It's like I have no problem going through and doing the like talking about mistakes and issues. Like if I wasn't explaining why something is bad, like I wouldn't be like a reliable source, right? Mm-hmm. And so having done all of these movies, and then I get to Rings of Power, and the Rings of Power is just soul-suckingly draining. Like, it's like, just Arthas, run me through with Frostmourne because I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Like, just please.
And here's the bad thing about it, right? Like, it's so bad that if you just took us, right? We never read Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. We never saw the movie, and you plopped us down, had us watch it. We would still say it's shit. Absolute shit. Because it is. I feel like middle school drama clubs could write just as good of a play or a TV series. Probably better because they're gonna be like, oh, that's not believable, guys. We can't do that. Like, there's gonna be more quality control with the middle school drama club than these writers showed.
I'm highlighting this because they're probably playing the lava game, like avoid the lava because it will kill you.
Yes, the answer to this is yes. The writers are toddlers because that's the only way Bezos didn't have to pay them $15 an hour, which would have still resulted in a better show.
Yeah, these writers over here like fight for 15. It's like what million is that? Like, I would almost because I'm fairly competitive sometimes. I would almost write a better story for a Klondike bar. I'm honestly, so sick of just the stupidity of this.
Amazon can fix this so easily by leaning in, saying it's a garbage season, punish the writers, punish the directors, so you'll never work for Amazon again. Maybe a little cruel since Amazon allowed the show to be produced and
just say it was a pilot season and say like, "Whoops, we'll just redo it." They did that with the first episode of Game of Thrones. It was so terrible they redid it.
Well, they didn't actually broadcast it though, did they?
No, but they could be. I mean, it was the first.
Sorry, this through our quality control. It didn't have any quality, and then we start over with a new 4 seasons because that first one it doesn't exist, and all they would have to do is go find anyone who actually cares about the Lord of the Rings universe to direct it, like, and write it. Like, that's it. That's all you need to do. I volunteer to. Come on, Amazon. I'll do it for a fraction of the price. It's literally not that bad.
Yeah, it's. I know every one of us had been dreading this show coming out for such a long time because it's like, oh, okay, they're making Rings of Power. All right, cool. So what are we gonna see? We saw these little teasers about them like doing the sign. Okay, no problem, whatever. Doesn't really show anything about the show. And then you get the first real teaser, and you're like, why is Galadriel the main character?
Yep.
And then it just keeps going and going and going, and it's like advertising that your new restaurant is going to be this big ultimate game changer that's going to revitalize the neighborhood, and then it turns out that it's like literally serving reheated Taco Bell.
Honestly, from the trailers
That's
and
what
stuff,
this fucking show is.
I'll be honest, from the trailers and stuff, I did not really gather that Galadriel was the main character because I didn't really want to read too much about it. I just I would see the trailers.
I saw her in armor and fighting things. I was like, oh, they fucked up.
But I wasn't sure if that was Galadriel or not. I didn't believe it. It could be her, given the fact that she was in armor and fighting things. And then I also thought that the one other elf was going to be more of a main character than he is.
The Fresh Prince of Noldor?
Yeah.
Yes.
But he's been a relatively low speaking role character. And
until that episode, he was my favorite. And then
I know the one episode he
assassinated him.
He's terrible, and you laid that out in your video. Which, if you're watching this, go listen to it.
If you want to hear my heart break audibly, yes, go watch my review of that episode.
You gave him 3 strikes, and you took away his elf cards. So, it's just when I first heard the news that they were going to do a show about Lord of the Rings, I was excited because you can't possibly fuck up Lord of the Rings. You can't. If you try, you can't. Amazon has always appeared to try with their shows, so I have been extremely, extremely shocked, progressively, I will add, as they've released more information and then the actual show. By the time the actual show came out, I had almost zero hope. Yep. I was wanting to be surprised, but I had heard enough to know that it was going to be trash.
I was saddened by the first episode because there's a Lord of the Rings YouTube channel that I follow that I actually really like his stuff. And he's like, the first episode was actually pretty good, guys. You should give it a chance. Like, oh, maybe I've been hating on this show for no reason. And then I watched, I was like, oh, no, this is garbage. And the thing is, every single one of his videos after that, he's been reading way too much into it. He's trying to make it.
Is that the guy you're showing me?
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, he's trying so hard. He would write a fantastic show.
He would.
They're not giving it to him.
That's the problem I have. The second a show makes it so obvious that I could write one better, I have to pan it because it's just like, you guys didn't think of this as the alternative outcome for that's my problem with the Star Wars, the most recent Star Wars trilogy. It's like I came up with about 1,000 different ways that this could have ended better at multiple points in that story.
I will only accept the existence of this show is if at the end of Deadpool 3 he does the same thing to Ryan Reynolds reading the script to these writers in their little writing room.
They should do
It's just like, I'm sorry you went through this, guys.
They should have Bezos take this and add an episode 9, and it's just him reading the reviews online, the real reviews, not the fake bullshit that they're doing, and looking at the script and like, why did I let you guys have a whole season as a pilot? This is awful. You just wasted how much of my money? Okay, I am hiring the other guys for a whole new show, starting with season 2. This is the pilot Dreamland season. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows it's a joke now, and then progresses on. Like, you guys are never working for me ever again. Good luck.
You know a show is bad when fucking Angry Joe calls it out and says he's done with it.
Mm-hmm. And goes back and redoes his reviews for every other episode. Knocks him down a couple points.
Yeah, just the number of shills that are out there trying to like, oh, it's good, I promise. They're over here like trying to bail out the sinking ship by pouring the water back into the ship. Like,
at least I have not, because I've been avoiding looking at the positive reviews because they're delusional clowns. At least I have not seen anybody have such a nerdgasm like that one guy for Star Wars when all he saw was effing dust and dirt. Like,
oh, like the clip I showed in my review.
Yeah, that guy. I hate that guy so much because nothing about that Star Wars trilogy deserved that freaking reaction. And I'm just happy I have not seen that yet for Lord of the Rings. I feel like Lord of the Rings might have a slightly more intelligent fan base, generically speaking, because it required you to actually read an intelligent book more so than just watch.
I mean, the fan base here absolutely stood up against what Amazon was doing. It hasn't it has not been successful since the first episode. It has been downhill ever since. And it kind of feels proper, doesn't it? It's like after they ruined Jurassic Park, they ruined Terminator, they ruined Predator, they're probably gonna ruin Alien, though they already did. They like all of these major franchises have been absolutely tarnished, except for Godzilla. Ironically, I'm so happy about that. But when it came down to this is the fandom that stood up and said no. It's like, fuck Star Wars. I don't give a shit about your stupid Star Wars. The sequel trilogy is unwatchable. Like, I hate those movies.
I'm just happy that they have not. We made a video about this a long time ago. I'm just happy that they have not done a remake of Back to the Future yet, because that's like the last thing that's like super pop culture-y that I feel like they have not tried to touch.
And the future that they show is going to be so cringy.
Oh, the future's going to be so dark.
Because you know exactly what it's going to do. They're going to be like, this is Trump's America or something.
Yes.
And then he's like, we have to go back and we have to save the future. and then it's
fascism exists now. It's like, does that future have it where Rings of Power didn't suck? Because I kind of want that. No, what if they did a Back to the Future and it was literally them telling Bezos to not launch this season? It's like they show him the reviews and he's like,
they managed to convince Ryan Reynolds in a Deadpool suit to go shoot Jeff Bezos.
But then they're like, oh shit, it caused world peace and everyone's having a great time with a shared bond over Lord of the Rings, and all these important events don't happen now because Trump becomes president, because everyone's so happy. And then there's like, we're never Trumpers. We can't have that. And then they go back and they're like, Rings of the Power has to really suck, Bezos. Make it happen. And then that's why we have what we have. Yep. Yeah. That's the whole show.
Yep. That's canon now, for sure.
That's canon now. Back to the Future happened and they ruined Rings of Power. That's yep. There's no other explanation.
Could you imagine if like the main timeline was actually like they had to go back, or the main plot line was they had to go back because they see how bad everything is and they're trying to change the culture, so they're like, oh crap, okay, so they go back in time and they prevent the timeline from splitting, so they saved the fucking gorilla that got shot. And then they're just like, oh no, everything's terrible. World War III, Rings of Power, everything's awful. So they have to go back in time and they have to be the ones to shoot Harambe. They fast forward back in time and they're like, yes, dude, everything's back to normal. Hooray, we shot Harambe. Damn it, we shot Harambe.
Okay, a new Back to the Future, if done properly, could be so epically funny. There's so much parody in this world to mock. And
it's just
sadly, they would ruin it. They would so ruin it.
Fox being a rancher, and then he gets kicked in the back of the head by a mule, and he's like, "Oh, I'm cured." And then he gets like hit by a car, and he's like, "Ah."
Oh, damn! Now I really want another. I want a Back to the Future.
I know they're gonna ruin it.
They would ruin it, but I want it. I would want it done right. Who owns the rights to it? Is that 20th Century Fox or something?
So it's Disney, if that's true.
Damn it! Wait, who made it?
I hope they.
I have to look it up.
Never touch it. Never again.
Or is it Lionsgate? 1 second.
I think Will's correct. Because it should be Fox, and well, Disney owns the world, so
Yep.
Because they own everything. They own they own Fox. They own the internet. They own your stool. They own all of it.
Yes, they do.
Why can't it just tell me who produced it? Why is it so difficult? Why is it so stinking difficult to just tell me that? I feel like you'd be proud to say you made it. Dang it, what the heck? Apparently I suck at Googling this question because nothing wants to tell me.
I'm looking it up as well. Universal Pictures was the original distributor.
Okay. So,
Not owned by Disney.
It's not owned by Disney. There's a chance that it's...
Nah, I have no faith.
Well, what if they wanted it for a new Universal Studios theme park ride? they could do it just for that. But I don't know. I think we've beaten this topic to death just a tad. Obviously, we tried to end this sooner, but
the show is that bad, though.
There's so much hatred amongst us. This is a therapy session to anyone who did not know that. Thank you for observing. Please let us know if we seem to be improving mentally. But all right, yes, if it's not obvious, we hate Rings of Power, and Will and I like House of the Dragon. So I think that concludes our review for tonight. As we say goodbye, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Will. All right, the other way. Say your name.
And Albaleo joined us today. And
awkward silence.
Oh, I was just making it awkward for you.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm Albaleo. Anyone here can find me at my channel, same name as what is listed. Do funny reviews, and I'm looking to go and do discussions. Right now, my life is just hating on Rings of Power because I have no time for anything else.
And do you want to join us again next week?
I would love to.
Alrighty.
I need therapy.
The therapy session, you've heard it right now, folks, is scheduled again for next week. So, as always, thank you for watching the CHRILLCAST.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.